Welcome to as important a night as there is on the sports calendar. This is the 2019 Jimmy V Classic, presented by Corona. We are here inside Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, here in Midtown Manhattan for a great doubleheader of basketball. That's the fun part, but we are here most importantly for the 25th consecutive year with the Jimmy V Classic to honor the legacy of Jim Valvano in his fight and all of our fight against cancer. We have a doubleheader coming up for you tonight. You know Louisville and Texas Tech in game one. A couple of iconic programs in the second game tonight who have combined to win 9 national championships. A couple of fiery coaches, Indiana and UConn, still to come in game two. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman and Jay Billis. Very glad you are with us on this all-important night. We're going to enjoy some basketball, and we're going to raise some money as well. And we've got the #1 team in the nation right now, 9-0, undefeated, the Louisville Cardinals here in the first game.
And Louisville, Dan, has everything. They're an older team. They're excellent defensively, and they can score from a variety of positions, including inside. They're going to look to punch the ball inside, and they've got a superstar in Jordan Nwora, who's averaging over 21 points per game.
And Texas Tech 5-3 under Chris Beard. They have lost their last 3, 2 of them in overtime, and of course Jay, a run all the way to overtime of the national championship game a year ago.
Well, Texas Tech is younger and they are smaller, but this is a team. It'd be a mistake to think that Texas Tech cannot win this game. They're on a 3-game slide. They lost their leading scorer, Jamias Ramsey, who's not going to play in this game because of a hamstring injury, but they can still win. This is a team that can defend, they can rebound, but they're going to have to find other ways to score than without Ramsey.
Such an important night, as we mentioned, and we couldn't be happier for many, many reasons to have Holly Rowe with us tonight. Holly.
Thank you so much. Well, Texas Tech had such a special season last year, making it all the way to the national championship game. And for many reasons, that run started right here in this building when a very young Texas Tech team went to the wire with Duke and were competitive against that great Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett team. Chris Beard said it's one of the only times we've lost a game and actually gotten a standing ovation from the people who are here around the court. They took that momentum and that propelled them to a special season. But guys, only 3 players who played in that game here in the Garden a year ago are playing tonight. They have their work cut out for them. Let's see if they can propel to something else special this year.
Holly, thank you. They sure do, but last year's game was mentioned at today's shoot-around. It is on the minds of the coaching staff of the Red Raiders. Our officials, Doug Sermons, Michael Stevens, Mike Roberts. This is V-Week on ESPN, the Jimmy V Classic here with the Garden. You can donate now at v.org/donate. The Cardinals in white, the Red Raiders in red, and we are ready for the first of 2 here at Madison Square Garden.
Well, Dan, you mentioned that it was talked about that game last year that Holly Rowe just spoke of with Texas Tech when they got the standing O. There's a little high-low immediately. Louisville going inside where they have the advantage, and they're trying to take advantage of it. But Chris Beard asked his team, how hard are you willing to play? We have to play as hard as we've ever played to be able to win this game against Louisville.
And one thing they're going to have to do, as you mentioned, there's an advantage inside for Enoch and Louisville. Texas Tech doesn't really have anybody who can match up size-wise with Enoch, who is one of 3 fifth-year seniors in the starting lineup for this very good and very experienced Louisville team.
Well, Enoch is having a terrific year. He's moving better. He's defending far better than he did last year. He's a transfer from UConn, averaging over 11 points a game and over 7 rebounds a game. And he's going to be a big factor in this game because I think Louisville's going to be going high-low all game long.
And there you see the deep freshman class, and there are some good ones, but also 5 seniors, and 4 of them are in their 5th year. 3 starters and 1 grad transfer in Fresh Kimball, who will come off the bench.
And Louisville needs to look into Enoch right away because he's got TJ Holyfield 6'8" on his back. He's running the floor effectively. They're going to get something early because of that.
Darius Perry launches a 3, and down with the rebound is Chris Clark, the grad transfer from Virginia Tech, one of the most unique players in the nation. Looks to pass way more than he looks to shoot, and the 3 spins around and out for TJ Holyfield.
TJ Holyfield started off the season so strong. He had 56 points in his first 3 games, but over the next 5, only 25 points total.
Best player on the floor, Jordan Nwora. He misses the 3. Offensive rebound, Enoch. Slips inside with a left hand, and he's got all four.
Boy, what a beautiful move. Great pivot by Stephen Enoch after the offensive rebound. That's where TJ Holyfield has to stay between Enoch and the basket. It wasn't about blocking the shot. It's about keeping him from the rim.
Here's another good look by Clark, but another missed jumper by Holyfield, who's had a couple of good looks already.
Well, Holyfield has to score if Texas Tech is going to win this game. Two guys have to score, Holyfield and Clark.
And Wara fouled on the drive, so a very good start here for the Cardinals.
After the offensive rebound, this is a terrific job of feeling where the defender was. Holyfield, he was on his left shoulder, and Enoch just took him into the lane a little bit. It wasn't quite a drop step. It was more of a pivot to get around him. And I think Holyfield's got to do a better job of walling up and moving his feet.
And Jay, a minute and 35 seconds in, Terrence Shannon Jr. has already picked up 2 fouls, but he is staying in. Holyfield is the guy who is coming out, but now I think it'll be Shannon because Avery Benson is coming in, and this is a really unfortunate development for Texas Tech. Shannon is a very talented freshman out of Chicago, and he's already picked up 2.
Yeah, he's a lefty, and he had 24 points and 8 rebounds against DePaul, and was one of the best players on the floor in that last game they played.
Texas Tech won its first 5. They lost their last 3, and I think all 3 officials blew their whistles and signaled travel at exactly the same time there on Perry.
Well, a good job by Avery Benson defensively to stay in front of Darius Perry.
Avery Benson plays basketball like they're not going to ever let him play again after tonight. He gives everything he has on every possession. Last 3 games, again, 2 of them, as Jay mentioned, without Jemias Ramsey, their leading scorer, and he missed part of the 3rd game as well. And their last 2 losses both came in overtime against Creighton and DePaul. So yeah, they've lost 3 in a row, but Chris Beard says, I still believe in who we are. I still think we can get where we want to get, even though the record doesn't look all that shiny right now.
Well, they ran a terrific set there where Davide Moretti was down on the baseline and ran a nice little flex cut, and then did a great job to kick the ball out to Avery Benson, the lefty, who was wide open for a shot. Now take a look here along the baseline. You're going to see a screen right here and off of it, and then as soon as the ball's caught, 2 defenders converge, and then they kick it right out to Benson. That's really good offense along the baseline. That's called a flex cut.
First time that these 2 programs have ever met, and Texas Tech looking for its first ever win against the AP top-ranked team in the nation. They are 0-6 all time. 4 of those 6 coming against Kansas. Baseline drive and the kick. Benson the extra pass to Moretti. Good pass. Edwards a little bit strong, and McMahon will intentionally tip it off to a teammate.
Well, Kyler Edwards didn't get that to go down, but that was good offense. This is a team that runs a ton of motion, so there's a lot of down screen, back screen, fade screen action.
Wara misses the 3 in the corner. Down with the rebound is Clark, and this is what he can do. He can get the board, he can bring it up the floor, and he can make a play at the other end.
A point forward, and Chris Clark has got to be a scorer in this game. Now, early on, Louisville has been settling for jump shots. They got to punch the ball inside, play inside out. They're going out of a little horn set to start, and I think they're going to go high-low here. There it goes.
Wara looking inside for Enoch, and an offensive foul using that left arm to try to get some room.
That's all about fighting to get around in front. And Chris Clark is leading this team in assists. He averages about 6 assists per game. Looked like it might be a handoff, but he's just able to get around the bigger Stephen Enoch, get all the way to the basket. I think Chris Clark has got to have his best scoring game in order for Texas Tech to win against the #1 Louisville Cardinals here in the Garden.
And Clark will get a breather as Chris Beard goes a little bit deeper into his bench right now. As Kevin McCullough, a redshirt freshman from San Antonio, checks into the game. And we see Malik Williams in for Enoch for Louisville.
Malik Williams, the better defender. He can get out and guard ball screens. Got a great sense for how to guard, both on the perimeter and inside. There he cuts off the drive. Terrific work.
And Holyfield called for the travel.
And you have to credit Malik Williams for that. That was great movement by a big guy to get down along the baseline and cut off that drive, get back to his man, then force a turnover. That was great defense by Malik Williams. He's only been active for 5 games. I mean, he was out for the start of the season. Who knows, he might even be starting this year but for that injury. But he's coming off a really good game. He had a double-double against Pittsburgh. I think he had 13 and 11. Played really, really well.
And right foot injury, was out about 8 weeks. Returned November the 20th.
Good pass.
He can shoot the three a little bit too. Now Nwora down in the post. And draws the foul. Our first media timeout of the night. Game 1 of 2 here at the Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden. The Red Raiders with an early 1-point lead. Welcome back to the Garden. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, and once again, Holly Rowe.
For Texas Tech, Chris Beard was so honored to play in this Jimmy V Classic, but one thing he quickly realized is none of the kids on his team remember Jimmy V. They weren't born when he was still coaching, so he gave Terrence Shannon, one of the freshmen on the team, an assignment. He had to do a report. It was an oral report that he had to stand up in front of the entire team with a PowerPoint presentation and everything, so he had to talk about who was Jim Valvano. He had done such great research. He talked about that Houston was the #1 seed and that it was an upset, and all of this really brought it to the forefront to these kids that this was a coach, this was someone who impacted college basketball and has also impacted so many millions of people. And he told me yesterday, Terrence did, that hey, over $170 million had been raised by the Jimmy V Foundation. So I love that he did that piece of research as well.
Very cool stuff, and really part of the family atmosphere that you can't help but pick up on when you watch Texas Tech practice. And Jim Valvano, for other folks who may be too young to remember, born in Queens, played at Rutgers, and a head coach for a long time, most notably 1983 when NC State, when the Wolfpack beat Houston, beat Phi Slamma Jamma to win the national championship. And Jay, wouldn't you say one of the bigger upsets we've seen in our lifetimes in the NCAA tournament?
It may be in a final the biggest upset ever. I mean, it was voted the top game of the 20th century in college basketball, and rightfully so. I mean, it was an amazing. I don't know how many people had NC State and the points in that one.
Houston loaded with future pros, including Akeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, and NC State won a very close, low-scoring game. Got a moving screen there, called on a Holyfield to turn it back over to the Cardinals.
Well, you're going to get a lot of screening action when you play against Texas Tech. That down screen, back screen, fade screen action. This is the really tough stuff, is when you're going with dribble handoffs. Once you hand it off, you have to stay stationary. The referees ring you up all the time. It's almost like calling charges for them. They love it.
Wayne Sutton lost it, got it back, and lays it in. And a guy who does a little bit of everything for Louisville extends the lead to 3.
The most relentless player in college basketball.
And here he is with a rebound. He can do this as well. He can score. He can dish. And unfortunately for him, just got called for an offensive foul.
Told you they like calling those.
What would you teach players? It's 3-on-2. You're going to kick. How do you slow that momentum down before you run into a defender who's really setting you up?
You have to use the free throw, and that wasn't a charge. I mean, you have to use the free throw line as a stop sign, basically. So come down, come to a 2-footed jump stop, and then dish the ball. Because if you let your momentum carry you in, you're gonna have somebody step in front of you and go down. I mean, there wasn't enough contact really for that, but the referees fall for that every time. And that's why this new flopper rule is so ridiculous, because you have to fall down in order to get a charge. They never call it on the same contact if you don't go down.
Boy, good D here by Louisville. Texas Tech unable to get a clean look. Clark will settle for a 3 and come up empty.
But Louisville has played great defense this season. The way they stifled Michigan was incredibly impressive. Good pass.
And a good extra pass to Nwora in the corner, and he extends the lead to 6.
Now, Sutton probably had the better shot, but he threw it to the better shooter, being Jordan Nwora. And when Nwora gets going from the three-point line, that's when he can have really big nights.
How about Nwora? 46% from 3 on the season coming into the game tonight. Better than 21 points per game. Without question, one of the best players in the country.
Well, he hadn't had a game under 17 all year. Good pass.
And another offensive foul. Benson steps in. It's a charge on Nwora.
Yeah, we've had more charges in this game than any game first 3 seconds. That's great passing. And I thought that Sutton had a really good shot there, but he knew that he had a better, right in the shooting pocket for a catch and shoot. Jordan Nwora is averaging close to 22 points a game. He has not had less than 17 in a game. He's been incredibly consistent, and he can score inside, outside. He can post. Really a terrific player.
Tested the waters after his sophomore season. Was told by NBA folks, come back, work on your defense. Louisville staff says he's defending much better this year. And there's never been any question the last couple of years about his play at the offensive end.
Boy, another terrific job by Malik Williams to help on the ball screen, then recover.
And now looking for it inside over Savrasov. And Savrasov is called for the foul.
Really good pass. Savrasov got on the high side of Malik Williams. There was nobody there for weak side help, and the pass was thrown so only Williams could get it. Just really well done. Not enough pressure on the passer. Could just throw right over the top, and Williams went right up. I thought that was a good block, but really good pass to get it inside.
So Williams getting a lot of minutes in the early going and playing well off the bench for Chris Mack. Saturday on ESPN and the ESPN app, we've got a great men's college basketball doubleheader. It'll be number 13 Memphis, number 19 Tennessee. No love lost between those two programs. 3 o'clock Eastern time, and then number 8 Kentucky. You'll be in Lexington, Jay, as they host the Yellow Jackets at Rupp Arena.
Well, Kentucky's starting to play better and better. And John Calipari talking to his team about two words they're emphasizing: fight and finish. E.J. Montgomery had a terrific game his last one at 25.
Another contest inside. Offensive rebound by Holyfield, who's checked back into the game. Great cut, great find, and the bucket for Kevin McCullough. What a feed by Holyfield.
And the cut was fantastic. A lot of players would just stand after that offensive rebound, but instead McCullough cut straight to the basket and got an easy one out of it. That was just a really heady cut.
Ryan McMahon with a nice look. Williams juggled on the catch, couldn't get the 3 off.
You have to stay down. Louisville throws up a lot of shot fakes and ball fakes. You got to stay down on those.
Samuel Williamson, freshman McDonald's All-American, puts up an air ball. Back comes Clark. Edwards knocks it down. Little run here for the Red Raiders.
Great pass by Chris Clark, passing ahead in order to get a shot before the Louisville defense could get set up. And Texas Tech is going to have to continue to do that in order to play ahead of Louisville's defense. If they got to grind it out 5-on-5 all game long, that's advantage Louisville. That was not a good shot by Wara.
You mentioned Clark averaging about 6 assists per game. Just picked up his first tonight.
Drive it.
Instead, Edwards again knocks down another one, and this one's a 3 to tie the game. And how about this 7-0 run by Texas Tech?
6 straight double-figure games for Kyler Edwards. He is mostly a catch-and-shoot guy, but he can bounce it as well.
Fresh Kimball misses on the layup, and back come the Red Raiders. McCullough.
Oh, what a play by Kimball. That saved a bucket there to take that away from behind.
And now numbers for Louisville. Wara spins, tough shot, won't go down.
Boy, McCullough did a great job with sense of urgency to get to the baseline to cut off that drive.
Another turnover. Wara again. McMahon shooting 50% from 3 this year. Misses that one.
He never misses those. There needs to be some sort of investigation. Ryan McMahon missed an open 3. That never happens. A great basket cut for Texas Tech. And then Clark getting the ball down court, playing ahead of the defense to get the ball to Kyler Edwards. And then Edwards with a little fade off the terrific screen by Holyfield. Texas Tech starting to knock down shots.
Well, it's something that has touched everybody in one form or another. I know my dad is watching it back home. He's a cancer survivor, and so grateful to still have him with us and watching tonight. And this, as we mentioned, is a special night on the ESPN calendar. Jim Valvano, of course, part of the ESPN family towards the end of his life. And that speech that he gave, Jay, more than 25 years ago, is as relevant and well-known today as it was back in 1993 when he made it.
And we've seen it every year since, and you never get tired of seeing it. It's an extraordinary speech. Louisville in this game, Dan, needs to take better shots. Their shot selection has not been as good as they need it to be, and they're not getting the ball into the paint as much as they need to get it. And right now, this is a team in Texas Tech that is on a roll. That was a really good cut off the double screen.
Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
listening in to Louisville coach Chris Mack in that last time out, he talked to his team about the charges that Texas Tech is drawing, and he said, you know, we talked about this. We know they like to do that. Come to a full stop. Be careful with what you're doing there. And then he told them to just relax. He said, we need better shot selection. Be strong with the ball, but really warning his guys. I think Texas Tech already has 3 charges so far. Get to a stop. Don't let them draw you into that.
Thank you, Holly. And speaking of people who have fought the fight, Holly Rowe has fought the fight. And very publicly at times, and thrilled to have her working the games with us here tonight. I know Holly has spoken about this on the air, on Twitter, and so forth. And just another aspect of how the V Foundation is saving lives. Tied at 12, 9 minutes in here in the Garden. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Holly Rowe, Dick Vitale in the second game tonight as Indiana takes on UConn. Louisville has missed its last 5 field goal attempts.
The screen for the screener action. Darius Perry was open, but winds up taking a really tough shot. Talk about a tough 2. This is just really poor shot selection by Louisville.
And Chris Mack, after that shot, just looked down at his bench as if to say, who can I put in there who might take a higher percentage shot than the guys who are in the game right now?
And he probably was saying, didn't we just talk about this?
Texas Tech very mentally tough. They play with a chip on their shoulder. Obviously a very different team than the group that took Virginia to overtime in the national championship game a year ago. Shannon back in there with 2 fouls, misses a corner 3.
And Shannon not only can score and shoot, but he can put the ball on the deck. So Louisville's got to be alert to get a charge on him, see if they can pick up his 3rd. But you can most likely get it on the offensive end with him.
Good matchup between a couple of really talented freshmen. Shannon for the Red Raiders and Williamson for the Cardinals. Shot clock running down. Perry the kick. Williamson the drive. A little off balance as he puts it up, and yet another rebound for Chris Clark, his 7th already tonight.
And he can rebound, then rip and go by himself. He doesn't have to outlet it because he's essentially the point guard out on the floor.
Off balance, Shannon no. Enoch kept it alive, and here come the Cardinals led by Williamson.
And Shannon tried to go after, knock that rebound away. That's one where you could pick up a cheap one if you're not careful.
David Johnson is in the game right now for the Cardinals, number 13 in white, 6'5" freshman from Louisville. And an errant pass will give it right back over to Texas Tech. And now Coach Mack is just shaking his head back and forth. He is not happy right now. This week, our NBA Wednesday doubleheader features some of the NBA's top teams. How about this matchup in Toronto tomorrow night? Kawhi Leonard, who led the Raptors to a championship a year ago, is back in Toronto to take on Pascal Siakam of the Raptors. And then Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. How good of a season are they having as they host New Orleans? Both games available on ESPN and the ESPN app.
But Chris Mack can't be happy with Steven Enoch the way he handled that double team that came out of it. It was not a strong double. He just threw the ball away, picked up his dribble instead of dribbling out of it, and just tossed it out of bounds.
Davide Moretti with a turnover for Texas Tech to give it back to Louisville. Stopping on a dime is Perry, but another tough shot, and then a challenge at the rim by the 7-footer, the freshman from Cameroon, Russell Chiwa. They need some minutes out of him tonight.
Well, stopping on a dime was impressive, but taking a bad shot that wasn't worth a nickel wasn't. And that's another instance of taking a tough 2 when it wasn't called for. Get the ball inside. Run something first, but play inside out.
Aiden Igyehan, a freshman from Dublin, Ireland, is in the game right now for Louisville. He goes after the rebound, but Chiwa holds him off. Those are a couple of big bodies in Igyehan and Chiwa.
Yeah, Chiwa gave a great block out.
Clean look. Edwards. Followed by Benson. Somehow it goes, and the Red Raiders take the lead.
Right now, Dan, Texas Tech is just playing harder. And Benson, that's an example. Nobody blocks him out. He's a lefty. He tipped that in with his left hand because he was just playing harder. Now he's got Benson's guarding Wara. And he's face guarding and won't let Wara get the ball. Avery Benson, a red shirt sophomore from Arkansas. The shot goes up. Everybody turns and watches. Nobody lays a body on him. Wouldn't you like to flex like that if you had those guns? Wouldn't you like that? I would like it.
The 25th annual Jimmy V Classic, and we urge you to do whatever you can do. V.org/donate. Well, we got some celebrities in the crowd, most notably perhaps Bill Murray. And if you're not familiar, you're saying, what in the world is Bill Murray doing at a college basketball game in New York City here in December? Well, his son is an assistant on the Louisville staff. There is Luke Murray. So you'll often see Bill at Louisville Cardinal games.
Most people would answer with Carl Spackler and Caddyshack, but what would you say is Bill Murray's best work?
Stripes. I mean, Stripes hit me at that impressionable age. Right? Stripes was really
42.
Yeah. Good guess by you. What about you?
It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I loved him in Groundhog Day. Everything he does, I love.
He's great.
And as nice as can be to people who come, you know, he's got to get a lot of people yelling at him on the street. Little triple screen. Boy, Clark's wide open. There it is.
Moretti finds Clark. Can't get the shot off. Back to Moretti. Nice little fake on Johnson. Tough floater. 4-point lead. Red Raiders.
This is just a hard-playing Texas Tech team. And when Jemias Ramsey gets back, I mean, he's leading him in scoring at 17 points. This is going to be a top 10 team again.
A freshman out with a hamstring injury. He's coming along, but they want to be cautious with him. They don't want to have him aggravate the injury and then lose him for 6 or 8 weeks. So as much as Chris Beard would love to have him in there, he's got to go without him right now.
Well, he's just a man. I mean, he can take over games. Mentioned that he leads Texas Tech in scoring at 17 a game, also 6 rebounds, but he's a 3-level scorer. Can put it on the deck. And Chris Beard says he's a great young man. He says he has no vices. He's like, well, who wants to hang around with him then?
He's no fun. First points for
when
Louisville.
he gets some, have him call me.
Right. First points for Louisville. First point for Louisville in over 6 minutes, and it's from Ryan McMahon, the 5th-year senior out of Sarasota, who year by year has worked himself into a bigger role. He is now starting and averaging 30 minutes per game for the #1 team in the nation. He is defending much better. He's gotten stronger, and there's never been any doubt about his shooting ability.
There's that same thing they scored on, that little flex cut out of the horn set they started. Now they're just running baseline screens.
Good matchup here. Clark and Wara.
Good defense by Wara to move his feet and cut off the baseline.
And Holyfield needs help. Good defense by Williams. Clark will put it up and knock down a long 2.
Boy, Wara did such a good job defensively, and he just let up at the end. You know, he should have been right with Clark. Clark was able to easily get into that shot without putting the ball on the deck.
The quote from shoot-around today is that they are begging Clark to look to score a little bit more. As great of a passer as he is, they need offense from anybody they can find it. And now a little miscommunication, mishandling of the ball, and it's out of bounds back to Louisville.
Now Wara did such a great job to cut off the baseline, but see how he just kind of lets up here and stands up, and he's not there on the catch. And that allows Clark to just get right into his shot right at the end of a clock. If you're right with him, make him put it on the deck, maybe get a shot clock violation and another turnover.
Fresh Kimball, grad transfer from St. Joseph's, backup point guard. Jumper over Benson, no good. And
called a foul on Holyfield.
Is it on Holyfield?
Yeah.
Is that number 2 on Holyfield, I believe?
Just a little discard. He thought he was being held, and so he responded.
So 2 on Holyfield. Looks like he's going to come back out. 2 on Shannon. Without their leading scorer in Ramsey, as you get another look. A little shove there.
Yeah, when you usually on a quick block out, what a lot of coaches teach now is what Michigan State does, which they call it hit, find, and fetch. They don't even, you know, kind of turn and put their back into you. They just go into you, knock you back, and then turn, find the ball, and go get it. But right under the basket, the referee's standing right there. They usually don't call blockout stuff because it's going on all over the floor. It's difficult to call.
A reminder, we've got another game coming up for you tonight. It'll be Indiana and UConn. The Hoosiers are 8-1, coming off their only loss. They lost up at Madison to Wisconsin in their last game. UConn is 6-2. Archie Miller, Danny Hurley. You talk about intense guys coaching those 2 programs, Jim.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of prowling of the sideline, and I think dry cleaners get rich off coaches like those 2. Now that Gary Williams is no longer at Maryland.
Yes, no longer the clubhouse leader.
Yeah, they needed somebody to step forward.
Well, don't knock Buzz Williams off that pedestal so quickly. Savrasov with a corner 3. The redshirt freshman from St. Petersburg, Russia, one of 4 international players on this Texas Tech roster.
Just a terrific baseline drive and then a baseline drift. Whenever there's a baseline drive, if you can get to the opposite baseline, you're going to have a great chance for a quick shot.
And a travel is the call on Wara.
Take a look at this baseline drive and then watch on the other side. While this drive goes along the baseline, there was a nice little drift into the corner. Now, Malik Williams probably should have gotten that pass, but that's a terrific pass by Davide Moretti because he kept his dribble. A lot of times guys will pick up their dribble when they get that resistance, but ever since Steve Nash did it with the Suns taking it all the way to the other side of the basket, guys are keeping their dribble alive, and that's a really smart thing to do.
Jay, we played almost 14 and a half minutes, and Louisville has 3 field goals, and for the second time tonight, Benson, a 6'4" guard, gets to the offensive glass.
No, Texas Tech decided to go pick and pop with Savrasov because he was hot, knocked out that down, and then nobody blocks out Benson. He winds up getting fouled by Dwayne Sutton. Now he goes to the line for 2. Just a great gritty play by Avery Benson, the lefty.
And we told you near the top of the show that he plays like they're never going to let him play again, so he gets everything out of every moment that he is in the game, and his minutes have really spiked with Ramsey injured, and he's making the most of it.
He had a terrific game against DePaul. He had 6 points, 5 rebounds. And just like this game, just plays so hard. It's almost like he shames his teammates to joining him in how hard he plays.
Overtime loss to DePaul their last time out. Overtime loss to Creighton. Blue Jays are good.
Really good.
Yeah, DePaul's good too. I mean, those are 2 road overtime losses without Ramsey. So yeah, they're 5-3, but could easily be 7-1 and probably ranked. They were ranked last week.
Yeah, DePaul's got Charlie Moore, who transferred in from Kansas, Paul Reed, and then Jalen Coleman-Lands from Illinois, who hit that 3 that wound up tying the game, sent it to overtime.
McMahon knows. Savrasov a rebound. Chris Mack probably can't believe what he's seeing so far tonight.
We've seen a lot of quick shots and not making Texas Tech guard like they should, and the ball is not going inside. Now you credit Texas Tech's defense, but Louisville's contributing to some of their offensive issues because they are not doing a good job.
Boy, great feed from Edwards to Moretti, and the lead continues to grow for the underdog here at the Garden.
Davide Moretti never stopped moving. He curled those screens by the elbows and just kept moving, and the ball found him. The ball finds the most active player, and Davide Moretti was the most active player in the motion offense. Here's Moretti there, and he couldn't even stay in the circle. He was moving so hard.
Texas Tech, without question, the underdog here tonight to the #1 team of the nation, Louisville. Texas Tech leading by 9. Not to get ahead of ourselves, and we all know that the rankings are going to, move wildly this season. There seems to be so much parity. Michigan State started the year as #1. They lost their opener. Kentucky moved to #1. They got beat at home by Evansville. Duke became #1. They got beat at home by Stephen F. Austin. Now Louisville is #1 for just the 3rd time, incidentally, in program history. As great a program and a legacy as the Cardinals have, and they're down by 9 to Texas Tech.
And it's not that Louisville's defense hasn't been good. They've done a pretty good job defensively. I mean, so far they've held Texas Tech to just 25 points, but Louisville's offense has been anemic. They've had some turnovers, they've made some questionable decisions, but especially they have taken some questionable shots. And out of a timeout, you think they're going to be a little more focused to get the ball inside. There's a screen by McMahon to screen Enoch into the low post. A terrific screen.
Triple teamed, and he scores anyway, and that's the first field goal in the last 12 attempts for Louisville.
That was McMahon just giving a little diagonal up screen for Enoch, and that's a little on big screen. It really forces Texas Tech to have to switch that screen.
3 won't go for Edwards, and Savrasov is called for the foul.
There is plenty of time left in this first half for Louisville to make a move. Now take a look at McMahon here. He's going to come up and he's going to set a screen up here for Enoch. Enoch's going to come off that screen. Then it winds up getting a switch. So now you got Davide Moretti guarding a big guy, guy and force that switch. Now they had 3 guys come over. It was not an easy shot. but at least it got the ball inside to a big guy where they have an advantage.
You know, it's funny, on the very first possession of the game, they went inside to Enoch and he scored easily, and they just kind of went away from it after that.
Yeah, it's, and look, Texas Tech did a good job defensively, but if you are resolute to get the ball inside, you're going to be able to do it. It's not that hard. And I think Chris Mack is going to be pounded on his team to make better decisions on the shots they take. It's not like the shots they've taken they cannot make, but you're taking an awful lot of tough twos, and the ball wasn't moving, and they weren't forcing Texas Tech to guard for extended periods.
And as we mentioned, especially for a high major team, this is about as experienced a group as you'll have. In the game right now, 3 fifth-year seniors and 2 juniors.
Clark has Williams on him, and I think he can drive this matchup and should.
Moretti for 3. You know, in some ways, Louisville's fortunate to be as close as they are because Texas Tech has had some pretty good looks, especially by Moretti, that haven't gone down. Right back into Enoch, and he gets a very favorable bounce.
Oh, and left-handed jump hook. Really soft shot, but I still think Enoch could have powered that to the bucket. He had the color on him. That is a great advantage for him. Good call by the official here because the cutters are getting bumped and chucked and held all over the place. That's the first time they've called it.
Texas Tech leads Louisville 25-21. #1 team in the country on the ropes a little bit right now. Part of the reason is, look at this Texas Tech huddle. Chris Beard is one of the best culture coaches in America. There's only 3 kids returning to this team that were not with them last year playing in this game at Madison Square Garden, and he wants them to be connected. You could see in that huddle where every single person who's involved in the huddle is touching each other. He wants them connected. Look at this turnover of the roster. It's just unbelievable to me. One of the other reasons they're playing very well together, they got there early in June. They had an early foreign trip to the Bahamas in August. So this group has been together for a long time, and they are playing much more connected than they otherwise would have been.
Yeah, and the speech at the end, thank you, Holly. The speech at the end of shoot-around today to the group today was, this is where it started last year. We got the respect of the country last year. Let's get the respect of the country again this year. And man, did they ever get the respect of the country last year, coming that close to winning the national championship. 31 wins, Big 12 regular season champs, and again took Virginia to overtime in the national championship game.
But they lost a lot.
Yes.
And this is still a very, very young team. They lost, Jared Culver, who was the Big 12 player of the year, going with a little 2-3 zone right now, but it can morph into man and goes right into man. They give that look, but then they move back to man-to-man.
A young team and a small team for the most part as well. In and out for Wara. Wara now 1 for 7, 5 points in the first half.
Good drive, but I thought Wara should have gone right into the body of Benson.
Clark with
fading away.
Sorry, Jay. Clark with McMahon on him, calling for the ball, but he kicked it back out.
Yeah, he should have shot that.
They don't take advantage of the mismatch.
Well, he's got one right there, and he got fouled. Holy cow! How could that be nothing? Like both of the play, that is a foul. Then there's no getting around it.
Both players are shaken up. Edwards for Texas Tech, and Enoch. It was the head of Edwards. The top of Edwards' head went into the chin of Enoch.
That's just not legal guarding position. That's a foul. And I know it was with his face, but it's still a foul.
Turnover number 7 committed by the Red Raiders.
Given a zone look, but you still need to run your man offense against this because it goes back to man immediately. There's such good help with this Texas Tech defense. All eyes are on the ball. Everybody's talking, even with the young team. And they're really doing a good job of getting into gaps. So they're off their man. They're not man-oriented. They're ball-oriented. So see, you got all 5 guys on one side of the floor, and everybody moves as the ball moves. They move on the flight of the pass rather than on the catch.
Chris Beard, a guy who has coached at literally every level in his career. At one point was an assistant under Bob Knight at Texas Tech. How much of Bob Knight's principles going back to the Indiana days do you see in Chris Beard's Texas Tech team?
Quite a bit. And Chris wasn't with them back in the Indiana days, but quite a bit. And especially with their screening action and their in their motion offense.
Good block from behind by Malik Williams.
Boy, if Clark had gone up right away, he had that. That was a little back screen right at the free throw line. He was wide open.
Williamson, baseline feed. Wara rejected by Benson.
Benson has been all over the place. I mean, he's been the star of this first half.
2 great offensive rebounds and a very impressive block shot right there.
He just plays so hard and so alert.
See if they can get Moretti going. Slips through a double team. Can't get the bounce. Follow, though, will go for Shannon. And again, the Red Raiders getting on the offensive glass.
There are no blockouts right now for Louisville. No blockouts.
Coming up at the half. There they are. Well, there are 2/3 of them anyways.
But it's the only one that counts.
Yeah, Reese Davis, Seth Greenberg. Where's the Fonz, guys? There's the Fonz. The Jeep halftime report. Glad they're classing up the show a little bit with Mr. Ellis.
Hey.
Oh, his mic is open. The Terps are on the road at Penn State. And a preview of Game 2 tonight between the Hoosiers and the Huskies. UConn and Indiana in Game 2 tonight. McMahon wide open.
Can't leave him. Can't leave him. Moretti came off because nobody had picked up Jordan Wara at the top of the key. And one guy you cannot leave is Ryan McMahon.
That is his 26th 3 of the season. This is the 10th game for Louisville.
Well, Ryan McMahon is one of the, like, he's a 50-50-90 guy.
Enoch. Boys, he got skill.
I just don't see why you don't throw it into him on every opportunity. Make them double, and then you can play through the post because he is just so effective down in the low post.
10 points and 5 rebounds in the first half for Steven Enoch.
He's got to call for the ball, which he does early. He gets in front of Clark, calls for it, and then turns to that left shoulder. So we've seen him make a right-handed jump hook and a left-handed jump hook. Just not enough. Shannon did not have enough pressure on the ball in order to discourage that pass.
And he's got 4 inches and 35 pounds on Chris Clark. Unless Chiwa is in there, and Chiwa's not ready to help on a consistent basis, then Enoch will have a huge size advantage over whoever else Texas Tech decides to put on.
And the only way you can really stop the ball from going in is putting better pressure on the basketball to take away vision and keep the ball from going into the post, and especially those early posts. But if Enoch continues to be this active in that early post, I think Louisville has no choice but to throw it in there.
2 years at UConn, transferred. Now in his 2nd year playing for Louisville, one of those 5th-year seniors.
He's an NBA talent. He's got size, skill. He's become more physical around the basket. And Steven Enoch is a big reason that Louisville's got all the horses to get to the Final Four and win a national championship. They're not the only team, because I don't think anybody is head and shoulders above the crowd. Certainly not Louisville. They're very, very good, but nobody's separated.
We saw Ohio State. They're very good. Kansas is very good. You and I both big fans of what we saw from Dayton out in Maui. They're very good, but you're right. Nobody has separated themselves from the herd.
If you are healthy and playing well at the end of the year, you're going to have a chance.
Shannon saddled with fouls early in the half, making the most of his minutes since he's come back into the game. Speaking of NBA talents.
Well, Shannon just was allowed to turn the corner. That was just simple action coming off a little screen right around the top of the key free throw line. He was able to turn the corner, get all the way to the bucket. Nobody picked him up. That's just way too easy.
Long 2 by Wara. Misses badly. Williamson can't save it.
Little shot fake, and he would have had a wide open shot. That was another tough 2. And that's a shot selection issue.
And the All-America candidate is 1 for 9 so far in this game.
Little handoff and a screen at the free throw line, and Williamson doesn't get over to pick it up, and all the way to the bucket gets Terrence Shannon Jr., the lefty, and going to that left hand.
And Texas Tech will milk the clock a little bit with about a 5-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock.
Which means they can take it all the way down to near 0 and still have time for an offensive rebound, even a kick out if they get it.
Moretti forces up a difficult shot, and it'll be Louisville ball.
He still had way more time than that. I'm surprised to see him take that shot. I mean, it's not a shot clock violation unless you don't let it go. So he had way more time.
A very smart, experienced player has had some bumps in the road here in the first half for Texas Tech, yet they still have a 3-point lead. Louisville can now hold for the last shot, just 5.2 seconds.
With 5.2, you can get easily all the way to the rim off the dribble. So whether it's Fresh Kimball, he probably will be the one that catches it. But he can get it all the way to the rim.
The color will come in for Shannon. Shannon's got a couple of fouls, so Chris Beard gets him out of there.
You know, Texas Tech has this lead right now because they have played so hard in this first half.
Kimball trying to get all the way to the glass, and Benson with another block. What a half he had.
He's like Elijah. Guys blocking shots left and right. Avery Benson was the star of the first half for Texas Tech. 7
points, couple of offensive rebounds, a couple of block shots, and the underdog Red Raiders have the lead over undefeated Louisville at halftime here in the Garden. Holly is with Chris Beard.
Well, Coach, this is a young team, very inexperienced, but how do you think their effort and energy is helping them against the #1 team in the country?
Oh, the effort's there, the energy's there. You know, I told the guys, we don't have to be better than Louisville. We just got to be better than them in a 40-minute game. I think our guys are playing really hard right now.
Avery Benson has done everything for you. How did you describe his efficiency?
And he's been in our program 3 years. That's what he's supposed to do. So I have a lot of confidence in all of our players, and Avery's answered the bell tonight.
What do you do with Enoch in the second half? He's hurt you here lately.
That's a great question. I was going to ask you that. So we don't have anybody that can guard him one-on-one, so we have to pick and choose our times to double him, but we're really concerned with their three-point shooting team, so it's a real challenge.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Texas Tech 31 to Louisville 28 at halftime here in a game one of the Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden. After the break, the Jeep halftime report. Reese Davis, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg coming your way. Welcome back to the 2019 Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona. Texas Tech leading #1 Louisville at the half, and maybe emblematic of how hard they play is Avery Benson. Offensive rebounds, taking charges, blocking shots, diving for loose balls, and really in his own way, oftentimes controlling what was going on in the first half. Teammates love it. Red Raider fans love it. 31-28 over Louisville heading to the second half here with the Garden in game 1 of 2 at the Jimmy V Men's Classic. Hi, everybody. Welcome back again. Dan Shulman and Jay Billis. What'd you think of the first half?
Well, Texas Tech is playing shorthanded, but they played harder than Louisville did. Louisville needs to do a better job blocking out. They need to continue to take better shots and be tougher on offense. Their defense has been pretty good. They haven't gotten blockouts to finish plays, but they need to do a better job on offense of getting the shot they want and not settling for a difficult shot that's pressured.
Stephen Enoch 4 for 5. Everybody else for the Cardinals 4 for 23. Wow. Here's Holly Rowe.
I caught up with Chris Magg, the Louisville coach, and asked him about Jordan Nwora, their leading scorer with just 5 points and 1 rebound. And he said, you know, I don't worry if he's missing shots. What I worry about is when he's not doing things on the other end of the floor, blocking out, playing good defense. He said the thing that Texas Tech's doing to us right now is creating pressure. They're pressuring us into taking shots that we don't want to take. Our shot selection is under pressure. He said, so I want our guys to just calm down, not let them force us into bad offense. And then I said, hey, why not Enoch more? We had him in the first 4 points of the game, then he didn't touch it for a long time. He said, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Our guys are just feeling too much pressure, not feeding the ball inside to Enoch.
All right, Holly, thank you. Yeah, good things have happened when the ball's gone inside to Stephen Enoch. As we take a look now at the Vanguard halftime stats, they are not flattering to Louisville. Just 28 points in the first half. They shot only 29%, and they got out-rebounded by the smaller Red Raiders as well.
Texas Tech can attack the basket more and get all the way to the, there it is, get all the way to the rim. In the first half, Chris Clark, Shannon to an extent, Moretti, they stopped short of getting all the way to the rim. And I think they can put much more pressure on the rim by putting the ball on the deck.
One of the last things that Chris Mack said to his team at shoot-around today was about the guy at the free throw line right now. He said of Terrence Shannon Jr., quote, I can't tell you what a burst he has and how quick his first step is. He was trying to get his guys ready for how tough a job it would be staying in front of Shannon.
Well, he should have told him. Well, you can't tell him. He should have told him. Terrence Shannon is an NBA talent. I don't think he's necessarily a one and done kind of player, but he is going to play in the league someday. He's guarding Jordan Nwora right now. Nwora can post him.
Or a 1 for 9 in the first half, averaging better than 21 a game. Enoch, no immediate double team. Now here it comes as he dribbled it out of bounds.
He was looking for the double team and looking into the middle of the lane. But Kyler Edwards was down under the basket, about to come over as soon as he made his move. And then he just took his eye off the ball, literally, and dribbled it off his foot.
Ready to hand off to Shannon. The switch, and Enoch's on him. Now Sutton tries to recover, and a travel.
That's the second time Shannon's tried that little Euro step, but he's done it so slow that the officials are calling it a walk.
Imagine that the Cardinals got an earful from their coach, Chris Mack. Such a great run at Xavier, now in his second year with Louisville. And look how far they've come in just a couple of years after all the NCAA allegations and so forth. Enoch the kick. Sutton is wide open, can't hit the three. Warra's on the glass and lays it in.
Just overpowered Terrence Shannon down underneath. And so he got the ball to Enoch because he had a bad matchup. Davide Moretti had to switch off on him.
A little bit too much dribbling out on the perimeter by Clark, and another Texas Tech turnover.
Now, it wasn't the best of passes to get it into Enoch, but a terrific job by Warra, who's an excellent rebounder. More of a defensive rebounder than an offensive rebounder, but he's just stronger physically right now than the freshman Terrence Shannon is.
Moretti's been on to McMahon most of the night. Ryan McMahon, the sharpshooter, 1 for 3 from beyond the arc so far in this game.
Screen for the screener. Enoch wide open.
There's the immediate double. Perry passed up an open three.
He was 0 of 3 in the first half.
Enoch, no. Rebound Clark. That is number 9, all at the defensive end for Chris Clark.
I think Enoch settled there. That's one where he should power it up to the rim. Give yourself a chance to get fouled. And he's not going against a bigger defender where he's got to go up over the top. He should go through somebody.
We talked about all the skill he has. Does he have that bully mentality when the advantage is there for him?
Well, that's a good question. He's got the bully body. Does he have the bully mentality? And on that possession, the answer was no.
Move that ball.
He's got Holyfield guarding him now.
Here comes McMahon. They can't get it to him. Sutton picks up his dribble and needs some help and turns it over.
A weak play, but a great play by Texas Tech.
Wow, and Moretti with a really nice pass to Shannon for the slam.
Well, you don't see Louisville that weak with the ball. You usually see the Cardinals strong with the ball. You give Texas Tech credit for the steal, but I think Chris Mack, when he looks at the tape, is going to go, we can't be stronger than that. That was a foul right there. But Enoch needed to be stronger there, too.
Clark spinning. Nice look. Elbow jumper. Holyfield around and out.
Holyfield's not shooting the ball. He's guiding it. And he's too good of a shooter to let that happen.
High percentage look, and they needed that the way they're shooting tonight as Warra slams it home to get it back within 3.
That's not something we've seen in this game. A lot of transition opportunities for Louisville. But running the floor, playing ahead of this Texas Tech defense, you don't have to grind it out.
Wide open. Moretti didn't get the pass. Edwards didn't see him. Now a step back jumper is there for Kyler Edwards, the sophomore from Arlington, Texas.
He's a good player. Second in assists on this team. Third in rebounding and 3-point field goals. Doing a better job of putting the ball on the deck this year and not just being a shooter.
Again looking in for Enoch. Bad pass stolen away.
What a terrible pass. You can't just pass to the offense. You got to watch the backside of the defense.
Moretti can't knock it down. Again, they are fortunate that Moretti's shooting has not been there tonight. He is now 2 for 9. And Davide Moretti is a terrific shooter. 44% from beyond the arc on the season. This could be a double-digit lead for the Red Raiders.
You can't pick up your dribble. That's somebody to throw it to. Oh, wow. Wow.
Moretti called for the foul, thought he had a clean steal and was off to the races.
Boy, based on what's been called in that game, he should have been off to the races. That was a tough one for Davide Moretti, but he worked really hard to get that opportunity. Could have called a foul there, but
foul on 25 in red. Texas Tech by 5.
Could have called a flop too.
At halftime tonight, executives from Corona presented a check for $1.72 million for cancer research to Susan Braun, CEO of the V Foundation, and Nick Valvano, brother of Jim and president emeritus of the V Foundation. That's Nick on the left. That's Bob Valvano, who's doing the call on ESPN Radio tonight. Wait, Bobby. Corona and its 450 beer distributors across the USA are partners with the V Foundation. Since 2010, Corona, its distributors, business partners, and loyal consumers have generated over $17 million in support. And again, v.org/donate. It's as simple as that. Whatever you can give tonight can help save somebody's life.
And you will know, for every penny you give, every penny goes directly to cancer research. 100%.
Once more, the V Foundation in the second game tonight. Dick Vitale will be along for the Indiana-UConn game. Should be a good nightcap. Nice look inside. Wara's got a chance for three.
Wara was the screener there, and a terrific job by Louisville. Everybody went with the cutter instead of the screener. Now watch Jordan Wara right here. He is setting the screen. Setting the screen right there, and he's wide open because everybody goes with the cutter. Defense late coming over from the weak side, but a terrific job from Louisville of reading the defense and not worrying about the cutter, looking at the screener. Oftentimes it's going to be the screener that's open.
Number 3 on Savrasov, and as soon as that foul was committed, Chris Beard got Chris Clark back off the bench and sent him to the scorer's table to check right back in. Shannon is on the bench now as well. Moretti way short on that one. Wara trying to shake Benson. Takes a 3 over.
Not a good shot. It's a shot that he can make. But why take that now? You got a little bit of momentum. No passes. You're going to go between your legs and take a challenge 3 with the defense right on you. Don't get it. Jordan Wara is too good of a player to take that shot.
Pull-up jumper is short for McCullough. Another tough shot, and back over to Louisville, down by 2. Wide open McMahon. Shot fake. Lets it go. And he is 1 for 4 now tonight from beyond the arc.
A great shot fake, but still Texas Tech didn't give up on the play and got a challenge on that shot. At least got a hand up.
Look at those three-point shooting numbers, Jay. Both teams at 17% on the night.
I refuse to look at it. It's going to burn my retinas. No defense is that good. A lot of this has just been bad shooting and bad shot selection.
Well, a good recovery there by Enoch after he was beaten off the bounce.
Savrasov beat him. Should have come to a jump stop and given a shot fake.
A reminder coming up next, as we mentioned, the 25th annual Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona rolls on into the nightcap. Indiana and UConn. Expecting to see a lot of UConn fans here in the Garden. Of course, you can watch it live on ESPN or the ESPN app. How about UConn going back into the Big East next season? For all sports, really, except for football. They'll play as an independent, but it just feels like a great move for UConn men's basketball to get back into the Big East.
It's a perfect fit. You have rivalries that you're used to and fans are used to.
Different looking Big East in many senses, of course, than it used to be, but still a great fit for UConn. Long jumper. It's a 2 for Kyler Edwards.
Kyler Edwards has made some big buckets in this second half. Big buckets in the game to give a 2-possession lead now to Texas Tech. So when you look at these teams on paper, you watch them practice, you thought, boy, Texas Tech is going to have to do everything just to have an opportunity to stay in the game. But they've done more than that.
And Clark trying to fight his way around a screen, gets called for the foul.
Yeah, good call, because the officials have allowed way too much contact off the ball. There's way too much bumping and grinding and no freedom of movement out there. So finally, a call was made off the ball where a cutter was being grabbed.
And Clark will come back out. Shannon will come back in. Chris Beard not as deep as he would like to be without the injured Jamias Ramsey. And he's had to navigate his way around a little bit of foul trouble tonight as well.
There's still a long way to go in this one. The horn set, ball screen, 4-5. What a bad play by Jordan Moore. He's too good of a player to have this happen.
Shannon slips and gives it back over to Louisville. Long look ahead, tough one, and a foul called on Benson, and it's in the act of shooting. Wara will go to the free throw line.
Smart play by Louisville to get the ball down court quickly. Jordan Mora didn't get back down the floor defensively, so you had a little cherry pick run out. That's like a defensive back that doesn't turn his head to look at the ball, right?
And just to clean this up, Jay, on that last bucket by Edwards, I thought I saw a signal that they called it a 2, but evidently it has been called a 3. And the way the rule works is they can go check it at the next media timeout, the first whistle at the under 12. So they'll check then if it's a 2 or a 3, but it's on the board as a 3 right now. 1 of 2 for Warren. Benson's out. Moretti comes back in. Also heading to the bench now is Nadolny. There are 6 freshmen who get minutes this year for Texas Tech. Wara slips.
It's got to be something with the floor. We're seeing way too much of this.
Holyfield lays it in. What a nice shot fake. One dribble and all the way to the rim.
I think that's what Texas Tech has to continue to do, is move the ball and then drive it when they get the opportunity.
Don't you think the Red Raiders are playing to their advantages or their strengths better than the Cardinals are tonight?
Absolutely.
Well, they almost came up with that ball, but instead a foul on Holyfield, and that'll be his 3rd.
Wow. That ball was loose. Oftentimes those are called incidental. We've had several guys flying all over the place. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. There was no foul there.
And the Red Raider fans agree with you.
So well, wait a minute. No, he got his arm around
the left arm.
Yep,
yeah.
He hooked him.
Yeah.
There it was.
With Benson back in, Shannon out. So they've got Terrence Shannon Jr. and Chris Beard calls him TJ. So we said, well, what do you call TJ Holyfield? He said, Holyfield.
You've had situations where you've had 2 people with the same name, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
With TJ, he's Terrence Jr.
Yes, so they call him TJ, and the guy whose name is actually TJ, they call by his last name.
I think you're worried about confusion being avoided for announcers.
Yeah, no, it's just confusion reigns over me, so I'm drawn to it. Moretti finally gets one to go down and raised his arms up to the ceiling for a moment, and it's a 9-point lead.
Boy, great play. That was the ball in the middle of the floor to Chris Clark, and a fade screen for Davide Moretti, who was ready to shoot when he caught it. Forza Davide. All right, take a look right here. The ball goes into the middle of the floor, and you're going to see a little fade screen come up right there. And wide open was Davide Moretti. And Chris Beard is loving every minute of it because his team is playing harder right now than Louisville.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
The 25th annual Jimmy V Classic presented by coronav.org/donate. Our thanks to Chris Mack and Chris Beard for their words tonight. We will hear from Archie Miller and Danny Hurley in the second game. We'll hear from Dick Vitale in the second game as well. And between games, you will hear Jim Valvano's speech from 1993 at the ESPYs.
Holly Rowe did such a great report on Terrence Shannon at Texas Tech, doing a report for his team on Jim Valvano. And you wonder if in that report it was noted how funny Jim was.
Oh my.
I mean, he was one of the funniest people I ever met.
I don't care how loud or how much personality anybody else in the room had. When Jim Valvano was in the room, he was kind of the dominant personality. A tip away by Edwards to force the turnover, and Shannon has it knocked away at the other end. It will stay with the Red Raiders.
That's another example, trying to get the ball inside and not looking at the defense. Texas Tech coming from behind. You have got to see the defense behind the player you're throwing it to, not just looking at the target. Now watch when the ball gets to the high post. Now instead of just looking at Stephen Enoch, you got to watch the defense. The player in the corner was the pass. That's the wide open pass for a 3.
And a timeout on the floor with 11:55 to go. Texas Tech trying to pull off the upset. Another game coming tonight. The Indiana Hoosiers off to an 8-1 start of the season, taking on the Connecticut Huskies, who are 6-2. Again, a couple of coaches who are relatively new in their current positions. All kinds of intensity in both programs. You have to think, Jay, are building right now, trying to get back to where historically they've been somewhat consistently. Indiana's won 5 national championships. Connecticut has won 4. They're both trying to get back to national relevance on a yearly basis, competing for championships, which both of those programs are used to.
Same play that Davide Moretti scored on that 3 on the right side, just getting the ball into the middle to Chris Clark and then running some fade screen action and picking up the foul as a result. This is a very good cutting team, Texas Tech. Now I think they're learning right now to cut with a purpose and get the ball moving more, but
down another one, his second in a row from beyond the arc, and this is the largest lead of the night for Texas Tech.
Anytime that Texas Tech uses Davide Moretti as a screener, you know he's going to get a screen. That ball looked like it might have been up on the rim, but a terrific tip in by Dwayne Sutton,
who has had a quiet night. He has been so good for Louisville, not just this year, going back for the last couple of years, but a quiet night so far for Sutton. Now he's got a steal, making up for lost time. Coast to coast, and he can't lay it in, and down with the rebound is Benson.
A good job by Benson to throw a pass fake, otherwise he might have thrown that away.
Just amazing. Texas Tech with nobody out there taller than 6'6", that Louisville cannot impose its will on the interior more than they have tonight.
Well, Davide Moretti is looking like a confident scorer and looking to take a swing at Louisville every time he catches the ball.
Shannon cradles, drives, and draws the foul.
Now take a look at Davide Moretti off the inbounds play. Number 25 off the inbounds. There he is coming off a screen. So there's the double he's coming off of, and you have McMahon trailing it, but just doing a terrific job after Chris Clark went right down to the low post and tried to post by himself on the left side, coming off the left side to the right. And he sets his feet so quickly. He's on a dead run coming off that double. And oftentimes off that double, you can get a little slip to the basket after the screen's set. But he is a terrific offensive player.
And you have to know, he just was chomping at the bit to play in this game, because Davide Moretti might be the best free throw shooter in the country. 92% career. He's only missed 1 this season in 25 attempts. But that 1 miss came right at the end of the DePaul game in a regulation. So instead of a 4-point lead, it was a 3-point lead. The Blue Demons came down, hit a 3, sent the game to overtime, and won. And Chris Beard said, yeah, he was beating himself up after the game. As great a shooter as he is, and as good a player as he is, a missed free throw helped open the door for DePaul then.
Well, there were a lot of reasons they lost that game, and not just that free throw. They gave up a wide open 3 on the other end, and then didn't get a shot with 7 seconds left to go.
Boy, a couple of Red Raiders just went tumbling to the court trying to put the brakes on and get back on D. And a block is the call underneath against Holyfield.
Boy, there was a lot of action on that play. But even with guys on the floor at midcourt, Texas Tech wouldn't give up anything easy. You see Holyfield right there just slid a little bit in on that to get the block call.
So it looks like he'll have to check out of the game. He's got 4 right now, and what little size they have when he's in there looks like it's going to go away with the Benson set to check back in.
Now there's no question, Dan, that was a great call. That was a block. But it's almost a surprise when a block's called. The charges are handed out like Halloween candy on October 31st. You almost expect anytime somebody falls down, the referees are going to call it a charge.
Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you subscribe to the theory that when in doubt, it's a block, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are way too many charges that are handed out that are blocks. Way too many.
David Johnson knocks down the free throws. He's a top 100 recruit, and he goes to the bench right now. There's a good freshman class for Louisville, but they're stuck behind all these 5th-year seniors, so they're kind of playing sparingly right now.
Well, this has been a man's game. And it's not the game. It's not the kind of game where you think freshmen should be successful. Yet The freshmen are playing their tails off for Texas Tech. Great slip.
Clark with a long bounce pass out to Moretti. Not this time, and Awara down with a rebound.
Interesting that Clark went, took the ball down to the floor to keep his balance so he didn't walk.
And his first instinct is always to pass the ball. Awara, he is fouled. This time it'll be Shannon, I believe, and Awara will be heading to the free throw line.
Louisville starting to drive the ball to get it into the paint to try to create that contact.
And look at the disparity in the fouls here in the second half, maybe because of all that driving. Just 3 for Louisville, 7 committed by the Red Raiders.
Yeah, foul disparity usually goes because of aggressiveness in taking the ball into foul situations. Oftentimes, like Texas Tech has had a lot of opportunities for jumpers in this second half, and I think they need to continue to drive the ball and get it to the rim to get a chance to get to the free throw line more often.
Doesn't this feel like a big couple of minutes here for Texas Tech? Shannon's on the bench. Holyfield's on the bench. They've got some foul trouble. Clark, tough catch.
Yeah, I think every possession is important for Texas Tech. They can't afford to take a play off.
They have never defeated the #1 team in the nation, 0-6 in program history.
That was a settle for Texas Tech. That step back. Ball's got to go
They
inside.
got Williams, yeah. Whoa. And literally on the back of Williams was Edwards, and he gets called for the foul.
Once he was on his back, you have to foul to make sure that you don't get that shot up. I mean, it was going to be a foul no matter what. After that shot fake, that's going to be a foul, so you might as well make sure that he can't get the shot up to the rim.
And it seems with every possession comes a foul, and with every foul comes a substitution. As now Edwards is going to come out, and Savrasov, a little bit more size, is getting ready to check in.
And the size of Louisville is going to be in this game kind of like a body blow in a prize fight. It's going to be cumulative. And you're going to feel it more at the end of this game. The fouls are starting to pile up. And Louisville's got to be smart and continue to put pressure on the rim, whether off the dribble or getting the ball into Williams and Enoch via the pass, and let them go to work down low.
Color down with the rebound. He was a guy that Louisville was very interested in, but ultimately he settled on Lubbock. Got a piece of Awara there as he tried to rip through, but they play on.
Louisville doing a better job of getting out and pressuring. Great cut by Moretti.
Nice look. Savrasov is open. Can't hit the 3.
Can't ask for a better shot.
Williams, long jumper, and it's good, and it's down to a 4-point game.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear it, but Williams walked there. He established the pivot foot, then changed it.
And now the Louisville fans are getting louder, sensing this momentum shift here in the Garden.
There's a horn set now for Texas Tech just to get something started, then they'll go motion.
Who's going to take the shot? Clark doesn't want to. Fumbled the pass. Shot clock down to 5. Now he'll put it up and bury it for 3.
That's why Chris Beard wants Chris Clark to be more aggressive offensively. He didn't have a choice. He had to shoot that ball and knocked it in. And Texas Tech needed that shot to go down. They were starting to leak a little oil.
7 points now to go with 11 rebounds and 4 assists. Red Raiders still with a lead.
This whole experience just made me and my mom's relationship just so much closer. If somebody can fight through cancer, I can, fight through a tough practice or a tough workout, and it made me want to go that extra mile. You know what I'm saying? And just like I said, seeing her work, through this battle that she was fighting for her life, it really just helped me and pushed me and motivated me. Like I said, on the court, and I just wanted to get better and just help my mom as many ways as I could.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
I am here with Sam's mom, Sue. And Sue, you're doing well in your fight against cancer. Tonight is a special night for us, raising money. How important with research and treatment plans for you in your fight against cancer?
Well, it's very important. You want to have the most recent things. You want to have the best possible treatment strategies and in place. Having resources to be able to go to and look at, try to identify what the best sources are. It's just critical.
I've had to have that tough conversation with my son when I was diagnosed with cancer, and it might be the toughest conversation we've ever had together. How hard was that for you to share this with your son and not want to be a burden at the same time?
It's very hard. You know, I've tried to be honest with everybody, with the kids and stuff, but at the same time, not knowing what the outcome would be and what the treatment plan was going to be at that time too is really difficult. So it's just like the fear of the unknown was very hard.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing with us, and it's nice to get to meet you, and good luck with you.
Thank you very much.
Holly, thank you. Great stuff. And as Jimmy V said, don't give up. Don't ever give up. The 25th annual Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona. You can donate at v.org/donate. And as Jay mentioned earlier, every dollar of your donation goes directly to cancer research. What a great night. You've got an iconic program at Louisville, Texas Tech, the national runner-up a year ago. We got Indiana and UConn still to come. All as a backdrop, if you will, for why we're really here, which is to raise as much money as we can for cancer research, as Fresh Kimball gets to the glass and brings the Cardinals back within 5.
Just a great drive. Fresh Kimball is a grad transfer from St. Joe's, and he was a 3-time captain at St. Joe's, the only player ever to have that honor for 3 straight years, playing for Phil Martelli. Phil Martelli now an assistant to Juwan Howard at Michigan.
Clark with a size advantage on Kimball. Benson off the glass. It'll go, and a foul.
Well, Kimball did a pretty good job of angling Chris Clark toward the baseline and not letting him get all the way to the rim. And just a terrific, see, that's a really good job by Kimball, not allowing the bigger player, but Jordan Wara came to help, and there wasn't a rotation over to Benson, and Benson is having a whale of a game. You heard Chris Beard tell Holly Rowe just before halftime he trusts all his players. Well, he's going to trust Benson even more now. He has earned significant more trust.
And it bears repeating, Jay, we touched on it in the first half. Texas Tech is doing this without their leading scorer. Jamias Ramsey still sidelined with a hamstring injury.
They're playing harder, and that was the challenge. Chris Beard asked his team today at shoot-around, how hard do you want to play? And he wanted his team to leave the floor to a standing ovation like they did last year when they played here against Duke in this building.
Wara gets into the paint, misses the jumper. Benson down with another rebound.
Wara didn't go straight up. Even though he was on the move, he was fading. And there's no reason that the defense didn't make him do that. That was his choice.
Still a lot of time left in this game. Texas Tech by 8. Benson baseline.
Good pass.
No look pass that Shannon couldn't handle it. Shot clock's at 4 right now.
Gonna have to pull up again.
Clark. And Wara has it for the Cardinals.
Boy, Ryan McMahon did a really good job on Davide Moretti. He chased him all over the floor. That's 2 shooters going at each other.
What a play by Clark to force the turnover. 4 on 3. Moretti for 3. And it'll be Louisville ball. That would have been a huge bucket for the Red Raiders to get it back to an 11-point lead with less than 6 to go. They're still up by 8.
Amazing job by Clark not to charge in that situation and find Moretti.
Not a great shooting night for either team. We expected it to be a physical defensive affair.
Chris Clark having to guard Enoch. They need to go inside.
Wow, McMahon, quick trigger, not there. Not a lot of second opportunities on the glass for the Cardinals.
Clark operating essentially as the point guard out on the floor. Getting a little back pick up top.
Shannon tells Clark to go away. Does he want to go one-on-one here with Enoch? Drive and kick. Shot clock at 3. Moretti fouled.
Well, he is such a good player. Moves without the ball. He can shoot it. And there he is putting the ball on the deck and going right around Ryan McMahon. Moretti's one of those 180 guys. Last year he shot 50% from the field, 50% from three, and over 90% from the free throw line in Big 12 play.
He's terrific. Even when he was a freshman, he kind of felt like he was a junior or a senior. He's always played with a lot of poise and intelligence. Foul was before the shot attempt. And they're not on the bonus yet.
I don't think Moretti agreed with that.
Holyfield needs some help. Finds Shannon. Elevates, but misses the 10-footer, and it's Louisville ball. Perry with a burst of speed. Gets it to go.
That was essentially 1-on-4. And Perry turned on the Jets.
First points of the night, Jay, for Darius Perry. Down to 6.
Davide Moretti is getting bumped all over the place when he's trying to make cuts.
Big minutes for the freshman, Terrence Shannon Jr. Everything but the finish right there. What a great drive.
Well, Texas Tech is not getting anything off its offense. They're trying to make individual plays.
And now the argument is over whose ball it is. The call is Texas Tech. Louisville bench protesting. Not a reviewable play until you get inside the last 2 minutes. I think they got it right, don't you think? Texas Tech ball. I know it was tipped by Benson, but I think it hit the fingertips of Wara after that.
I think you're right.
And here comes a little pressure right now from the Cardinals. A lot of different guys who can handle, though, for Texas Tech.
You got to get some movement here. It's been a little bit stagnant for Texas Tech. They are playing their tails off, though. A little box set. And then a ball screen.
And a foul.
Yeah, that's not the place that you want to foul. It's too far from the basket for Louisville and puts them one step closer to the 1-and-1.
Number 6 on the team. Moretti's going to come back in. Who's coming out? Benson's coming out.
Well, Benson's been limping a little bit, especially at that last. He took a shot. He has played so hard. You may be able to question a decision here their players made, but you can't question the effort. Nice cut.
And a bucket for Holyfield. Another assist for Clark.
As a defender, you can never let a cutter cut across your face. And that's exactly what happened to Louisville there. Didn't jump to the ball, and all of a sudden Holyfield's laying it in as a result.
And now a Kimball turnover gives it right back to the Red Raiders. Still 3.5 minutes to go. Moretti creates a little space, can't get the shot off. What an upset this would be. Again, they were ranked last week before a couple of overtime losses, and they're playing without their leading scorer. Moretti to miss. Offensive rebound, McCullough. Still loose and finally belongs to Louisville.
Look at these guys fight. And Malik Williams a little slow getting down the floor now. Chris Mack going to call a set.
Perry gets inside, adjusts, and is called for the offensive foul. Holyfield stepping in.
Now watch number 22 here, TJ Holyfield. When the ball goes to the right side of the court, he is going to cut right across the defender's face because Malik Williams, not paying attention, didn't jump to the ball.
Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, Holly Rowe, Madison Square Garden, New York City, the Jimmy V Classic. Second game is coming your way.
Is that PJ Fleck? Everybody's got a PJ Fleck.
Well, you know who the candy stripes belong to. The Indiana Hoosiers are in the house. And likely it will feel like hostile territory for them against the UConn Huskies, although I'm sure Indiana has traveled well. But Connecticut always sends a lot of fans to the Garden here in New York. That is our second game tonight. Meanwhile, our first game, Texas Tech is less than 3 minutes away from pulling off an upset. If it happens, Louisville would become the 4th #1 team to suffer a defeat already this season, and the Red Raiders would pick up their first win ever over the #1 ranked team in the nation.
And Texas Tech again playing without Jamias Ramsey, their leading scorer, just a freshman from Arlington, Texas, averaging close to 18 points a game. And he is a big-time talent, and without his scoring in the game, it's really remarkable how Texas Tech has fought against the #1 team in the country.
Here comes pressure from Louisville.
A good job by Holyfield to come back to the ball so that Texas Tech could get the ball in.
Edwards gets it over. It will stay with Texas Tech. 17 on the shot clock, 2:44 in regulation, and the Cardinals are gambling like crazy right now.
Well, they're coming with traps, and so far Texas Tech has dribbled the ball into a couple of bad areas. They got a little fortunate right at half court, and then dribbled the ball in the corner and led themselves right into a trap where they could turn the ball over.
Clark, a big decision maker. A lot of the offense runs through him. And the back out to the experienced Moretti. He wants a ball screen.
I wonder if they'll trap every ball screen.
Holyfield spinning. Shannon with one on the shot clock.
What a big time shot by Terrence Shannon Jr. Man, he is a baller. That is a winning play right there. Got to switch. Got to look inside to Williams.
Over the top. Williams. And he lays it in. But the clock continues to tick. It is down to 2:03 right now. When we get a timeout for Chris Mack. His team still facing an 8-point deficit.
There is plenty of time for Louisville in this game. You still have to play solid defense. You can trap and take a gamble here and there, but you don't have to go crazy gambling. Holyfield doing a good job not walking there, but that is just a big time shot that was challenged by Dwayne Sutton. And look how high Shannon got up for that lefty jumper. He is going to be a great player. He's really good now, but he's going to be great.
Tonight after Game 2 of the Jimmy V Classic, stick around for Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt. Highlight and reactions from college basketball's top matchups tonight. The 76ers and the Heat both look to remain unbeaten at home. And one of everybody's favorite segments, where in the world isn't SVP? Sports Center after Indiana UConn on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Avery Benson was the early star in this game, the lefty from Arkansas, knocking shots down, taking charges, blocking shots, tipping the ball in, rebounding. Nobody blocked him out. His energy was contagious in the first half for this Texas Tech team, and continued it on into the second half. Energy-wise and effort-wise, Avery Benson's been the player of the game, and he's taken some lumps too. He's got double-figure bruises in this one. You know, when Chris Beard left UNLV after, I don't know whether he was there for a month even, and came to Texas Tech, did you even fathom that he could do this? I did not think it was possible for Texas Tech to be an Elite Eight championship game participant back-to-back, and to recruit the kind of talent they've got and develop players like they have. It's really remarkable what he's done.
Elite Eight in his second year there. National championship game in his third year there.
And he ought to have an Emmy for the Fireside Chat. That is one of the best shows on television. It's better than comedians in cars getting coffee.
I mean, we really got two of the elite coaches in the country here, in Chris Mack and Chris Beard.
No question.
2:03 to go. Game 2 still to come, UConn and Indiana. But this one's not over yet.
Be ready for a trap when you catch it. Good catch. Good job coming back to the ball.
Shannon going hard to the bucket and hitting the deck hard. Seems to be okay. And now he'll head to the free throw line. Boy, what a strong effort that was.
And he forced the foul because he went so strong. Left-handed, taking it up to dunk, and forced Wara to foul him from behind. Boy, this young man has got a lot of game. He is a baller, man. and he shoots over 80% from the free throw line and gets there. He shoots the most free throws on this Texas Tech team. I guess you'd call him old school too, Terrence Shannon, because he wears the short shorts.
He's got the short shorts on.
He is not succumbing to peer pressure and going with the longer shorts.
You know what? Playing the #1 team, playing against a great player in Warren, national television, Madison Square Garden, doesn't seem fazed by anything, does he?
Got the hair. He's got it all.
10-point game.
I hope these young men don't take all this hair for granted. It goes quickly, guys.
Well, it depends how quickly you give up the fight. Some people, it doesn't go as quickly as it should.
Some people like me surrender. Great steal.
Holyfield. And it won't go down for him, and it's back to Warren. Boy, it's a scramble right now. They need one, and they won't get it. It's an air ball by Sutton, whose shoulders just sagged after that shot missed.
Now it's about keeping control of the ball and knocking free throws down, because they're going to have to start fouling, and there's the first one. Clark just a 56% free throw shooter coming into this game. How about this? I mean, we've seen some bizarre things this year, but without Jamias Ramsey for Texas Tech to outplay, out-scrap, out-fight Louisville in this, I mean, you knew they could win, but it's still a little bit surprising.
We know that at this point, nobody appears to be, quote, great or have separated themselves, and the rankings will fluctuate wildly this year. But to your point, this is impressive. McMahon went looking for the foul. He doesn't get it.
Smart of the officials not to fall for that.
And Clark, his back landed out of bounds before he tapped the ball to Moretti. Great effort.
There was a little bit of contact when he was bringing the ball up court, and was surprised that that wasn't called, frankly.
I'll tell you, this is a credit to Chris Beard and the staff. And you could say the same about Chris Mack, but the focus on Texas Tech right now. If you don't want to outwork the other team every single time you step on the floor, don't go to Lubbock, because that's what Chris Beard demands of his players.
The officials just called a technical, I think, on Chris Mack. Really surprising. But in the officials' defense, I mean, I don't think any official would want to call a technical at this point in the game. But the directive has been to clean up bench decorum. You'd like to see a whistle swallowed at this point in the game. That's not, I don't think it's the appropriate call, but that's what they're told to do, so you can't blame the officials there.
And Moretti, who's almost automatic, knocks them both down. Remember, we started to tell you at the top of the show, Texas Tech came here last year. They didn't beat Duke, but they made a statement about what they might be and be able to become. And Chris Beard said, we left this floor last year with the respect of people. This is where it started. Let's start it here again this year. And Jay, to say they have made a statement is an understatement.
No, they've done it. And at shoot around today, we'll repeat it. He said, let's walk off to the floor to another standing ovation. I think they're going to get one, because Texas Tech has been the tougher team.
Another foul, and the officials getting in there as Perry was kind of hanging on to Moretti a little bit too long. Only 3 players from last year's team, and coming in on a 3-game losing streak as well.
I mean, what they lost from last year's team: Jared Culver, the Big 12 Player of the Year; Matt Mooney, who was all defensive team. And I mean, could you have played better in the Final Four than he did? You know, Tariq Owens, who transferred in from St. John's, the great shot blocker defender. You know, Norencio Odiase is gone, and then Brandon Francis is gone too. I mean, that's a lot of players to lose. But they lost players the year before. They lost Zaire Smith, the Keenan Evans the year before, and went further. Is it further or farther?
I think it's further.
Boy, Texas Tech has earned this one. What a remarkable, gritty performance.
Absolutely.
It was not pretty, but it was gritty.
It's one heck of a W for this program. Sutton back out to McMahon. All they can do is launch shots right now. McMahon will hit one, and Chris Mack will use his last timeout. Well, there got to be some tired bodies on both sides, but
well, they've earned it.
Yeah,
they've earned the tired. It's a good kind of tired for Texas Tech. It's going to be a difficult, unless Louisville can pull off some sort of miracle by getting steals, threes, maybe fouling and missing Texas Tech missing free throws. If Texas Tech is able to hang on here, it's going to be a not a good win. It's going to be a remarkable win. Without Jamias Ramsey, their leading scorer, this team has lost 4 out of 5, and they've lost their last 3. And excuse me, they've lost their last 3 games only. I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else. They've lost their last 3. They lost to Iowa, then they lost in overtime to Creighton, and then lost in overtime at DePaul.
Right.
All good teams, but I think healthy Texas Tech is better than all those teams. And to your point, they have served notice that this is going to be a team to reckon with in the Big 12 and nationally as soon as Jamias Ramsey gets back.
And Chris Beard was consistent both leading up to this game and today when we spoke to him at shoot-around. He said, I know we're 5-3, but we haven't had Ramsey. 1 possession game, overtime games, road games. He said, I still believe in who we are. I still think we're the team we were last week when we were ranked. They fell out of the rankings after the 2 losses. They might sneak right back into the top 25 after a win over Louisville.
You think they're going to sneak?
But they might bowl their way into it. And we have an interested observer getting a seat for Game 2 tonight as UConn will take on Indiana. The Hall of Famer Jim Calhoun is in the house.
Speaking of number 1, spent a lot of time there himself.
They're taking on the Hoosiers coming up about 20 to 25 minutes after the conclusion of this game.
And the game plan down the stretch here is get the ball to Davide Moretti. If anybody's going to get fouled, you want Moretti getting fouled.
Texas Tech not the only team that is about to make a statement tonight. Penn State made a statement tonight. They beat Maryland.
Penn State is a good basketball team. Lamar Stevens is no joke. Miles Dredd can really shoot it. That's a good team. Pat Chambers has done a great job with that program.
We talked about it during the Big Ten ACC Challenge won by the Big Ten this year. That's got a chance to be a fascinating league, a really good league this year.
And the best team I've seen in that league is Ohio State. Ohio State is legit.
And Moretti keeps knocking him down.
He is just automatic. Yeah. Makes 100 every day before practice starts. But it only takes him 100.
Kimball and a foul.
That's one thing you do not want to do in this situation is foul, because it stops the clock. You get to score with no time going off the clock, and you get to set up your defense. Now the clock stops, and when the ball goes through the net at the end of the game. But still, you having a set defense is such an advantage.
Little dejection, and understandably so, on the Louisville bench. What do you think Chris Mack's message for his team will be in the aftermath of this one?
They're the same team that beat Michigan, and they're the same team that has a legitimate chance to win the national championship. But it doesn't matter how old they are, because that's an asset. They'd better listen. And I'm not sure this team came in internalizing the game plan that they were provided. But you give credit to Texas Tech. They took them out of their game. Texas Tech was the stronger and tougher team in this game. But if I were Chris Mack, it's funny when you look at film. Say you look at a steal. Now the defensive coach is saying, "What a great steal! That's a great job." And then the offensive coach is saying, "We got to be stronger with the ball." You let him take the ball away from you. So it all depends on your perspective. So from Louisville's perspective, it is we are better than this, and we know it. But if we don't play to our capabilities, anybody can beat us.
There was that stretch midway through the second half where they went inside 3-4 times in a row with success. And again, either didn't or were not able to sustain that through the rest of the game.
I think a lot of this had to do with alertness. There were not a lot of blockouts, frankly, in the first half. They got beat up in that way. And shot selection. Louisville can shoot. Their shot selection was poor in this game. So their decisions, and you give credit to the Texas Tech defense. I think we're seeing a standing ovation right now in the Garden for Texas Tech for the second year in a row. And Chris Beard called it today at practice.
What an impressive performance. What a gutsy, tough performance by the underdogs and the undermanned Red Raiders tonight without their leading scorer in Jamias Ramsey. As Holyfield launches a three with a shot clock running down, and that's your exclamation point on this game.
We're going to hear from Texas Tech all year long through the Big 12 and beyond. What a statement by Texas Tech. This was a program win without Jamias Ramsey, their leading scorer. Remarkable.
For the fourth time this year, the #1 ranked team in the nation suffers a defeat. And what a big win for Chris Beard and the Red Raiders here in New York City. They do it by double digits, beating Louisville 70-57.